What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy, and I'm coming at you with an action figure review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Hasbro The Black Series Gaming Greats Dagan Gera and BX Droid Hybrid from Jedi Survivor. Lord only knows how long I've been sitting on this pack. I have had this sitting in my pile of items to be reviewed for so long now. I know I've completely missed the boat on the new and exciting feel of this reveal, but I am still really excited to open it nonetheless. I do have reviews out on the channel for both the one-armed version of Dagan Gera and the regular Commando Droid, and I really like both of those figures, so I think that I will be really enjoying these two right here. If memory serves me correctly, this was an Amazon exclusive that I think I pre-ordered in the end of 2024. That really tells you how long it's been and how long I've been sitting on this here, and this comes in the standard 2-pack style packaging for the Black Series right now. Up at the top here you have your Black Series logo, your big plastic window showing you both the figures and their accessories here. Over here on the side you have the Gaming Greats sticker in that reflective chrome, and then you have the characters' names in vertical text. Below the window here you have the name of the game as well as some of your legalese, and this banner is in the color of the Gaming Greats subline. Over here on the side where we have the mural packaging, you have a split mural packaging, the top half being Dagan Gera with his force arm there, and then the bottom half being our hybrid BX Droid. They both look really good. On the back of the box we have those mural images that we saw on the side, blown up quite a bit. You can also see much more of the art here. You have your Black Series logo, character names, and a bio in about 1,000 different languages. This bio reads: resuming his position as leader of the Bedlam Raiders, skilled warrior Dagan Gera has never been closer to returning to Tanalorr until he meets Cal Kestis in a confrontation on Kobo. Part of Dagan's group of Bedlam Raiders, the hybrid model BX Commando Droid combines the melee prowess of the standard BX model with the ranged advantage of a blaster. Down below that we have once again the name of the game and the Gaming Greats color banner, and we have all our legalese. Guys, please don't feed these action figures to your babies. On this side of the box we have the Gaming Greats logo, our wraparound window, the banner again, and the Black Series logo down at the bottom. On the bottom of the box we have even more legalese, and on the top nothing. That about wraps it up for the packaging, so why don't we get these guys opened and we'll check them out. Alright, here are the figures out of the box. Now before we take a look at them, let's take a look at the accessories they come with. So Dagan Gera pretty much comes with the same accessories that he came with in his one-armed version. That is his lightsabers, which are technically broken up into two pieces here. However, I'm gonna just pose them up in the dual-bladed version. Both the hilts look very nice. They are painted identically to one another with that nice gold trim on the ends there near the emitter. They do have a black for the grip there, and then a dull silver sculpt for the actual metal itself. They have a very nice, deep, vibrant red blade for either side, and I really like that the blades are this nice, vibrant color. Black Series needs to keep that up. Obviously, you can connect the hilts together to make a complete hilt. There is a right and wrong way to connect this because of how it's staggered there, so if it's not connected all the way, you're doing something wrong. And they do disconnect the blades from the hilt here, and this is what your hilt is going to look like without the blades intact. As far as our Commando Droid, he also is going to come with the same accessories that previous Commando Droid release came with, and we have the Vibro blade here, which has technically some paint application here on the edge of the blade. I actually can't even tell if that's just a blended sculpt or if that's the actual paint application. However, that's my same complaint that I had on the original Commando Droid, is that the blade is just very, very plain, not a whole lot of painted detail on it. It does have a peg so you can plug it into his back, and the actual sculpt itself looks good. I just wish it had a little bit more paint to it. And then we have the E5 blaster rifle here. This is the standard issue weapon for the battle droids, and this is done in just a, dark gray color here. Some would say gunmetal. I think it's a little too dull for that, but no weathering, no paint on it whatsoever. It's just a standard droid blaster. So taking a look at our figures here, we are first going to set our Commando Droid off to the side, and we're going to take a look at Dagan Gera first. So this is literally head to toe the exact same figure as the previous Dagan Gera release, the only difference here being this blue force arm here. So I'll explain that in a minute here, but let's take a look at his paint applications here. So him being a character from a video game, I am pretty lenient when it comes to the likenesses here, but I think this likeness looks exactly how he does in game. The paint apps for the eyes and the lips and the eyebrows look really nice. The hair is very nicely sculpted as well, and there's a little bit of gold there for his hair clip, and I think it's very nice. And I like too that they did sculpt the inside of his hood so that his hair sits nicely in there, and you can actually have him still look around ever so slightly. But what I've also found works is you can move the hair over and you can have him look from side to side, and it doesn't look completely ridiculous when he's looking and his hair is outside of the hood. You can see on his chin and on his neck the very, very subtle tattoos that he has. I don't know if this is something that's customary for his species or if this is, you know, just for him in particular, but it looks really good. And honestly, I think it's good that they did it in such a subtle color because that reflects how it is in the game. It's a very subtle detail. Dagan is a Jedi from the High Republic era, and so therefore he has High Republic era robes. So you can see the old Jedi insignias on the front here. This front sash piece for this outer tunic is a very thin, malleable plastic. You can see I'm able to move this around with no effort at all. It's going to be very nice for more dynamic posing. He's got this nice gauntlet on the left arm there, which looks great with that gold trim, and that's the same thing that I can say about all the robes. All the outer robes here have some very nice gold trim and some nice detail to them. On his belt here, he does also have a lot of paint detail. So you'll see the buckle is painted, as well as these little kind of threads or cords that kind of interweave throughout the belt. All the little facets on the front are painted, and they even have the cords on the back of the belt painted as well. Those look great. And you can see that sash on the back here. For some reason, there's some paint smearing from brown. I'm not sure how that got there. Maybe he had a little bit of an accident, but yeah, same thing with that nice thin malleable plastic. I like to see that. Now, as far as the cape goes, obviously this is one of those instances I would have definitely preferred soft goods over the sculpted plastic. It's going to be hard, especially getting them into lower poses, to make this look natural. It is a nice thin, you know, malleable plastic, but again, I think I would prefer soft goods in this particular kind of an instance. Then again, with the gold trim, I don't know how they would get that to work. As for the undergarments and the boots, everything is very plain. No paint application whatsoever, just the standard sculpting here. The boots look nice. I like the detail on them. The pants are good. They're not too baggy while still giving off a nice ripple effect to the clothing. And then you have this really nice force hand here. So in some of the fight scenes where you are boss fighting against Dagan Gera, I think you fight him 3 times throughout the course of Jedi Survivor, and in a couple of the instances you fight him, he does utilize this force arm. It's just a physical representation of him, you know, using a lightsaber and becoming more difficult to fight. This is done in just a translucent blue plastic, very similar to what you see with the Holocom figures in the Black Series, and it is just a mirrored image of what we see on this left arm here. Other than that, Dagan is a pretty plain design, but it's very accurate to what we see in game. As far as his articulation goes, Dagan is going to have a lot of the modern articulation for Black Series right now. So you will have a barbell jointed neck. You'll have a ball joint up in the top of the neck and one at the base of the neck. So you will have some nice range out of that there. You can make him look down a fair amount, and because of the way his hood is sculpted, the hair doesn't look like it's floating in midair. He can't really look up due to the hair, which is completely fine. And again, you can get some nice tilt out of that head, and you can, again, like I said, make him look right and left based on how you move the hair outside of the hood. Now, as far as the shoulders go here, underneath this very thin rubbery overlay that makes that outer tunic, you do have butterfly joints, and those do still have some decent range there, and you'll see that same goes for our force arm here. That is some decent range. And then there is deep cut single jointed elbows here. Those get you a little bit past that 90-degree mark, maybe ever so slightly, and there is a swivel at the top of the elbow there. As far as the wrists go, we're going to have the hinge and swivel system, so we have a swivel with a hinge joint at the right wrist, and the same will go for the left wrist here. Dagan's also going to have a ball joint at the waist, so you're going to be able to get some really nice motion out of that. Just be wary, if you pull it up a lot, you're going to see that there is broken up sculpt there from the outer tunic. At the hips, we are going to have a ball joint here, which has some good range. They did do away with the thigh swivel on this figure for the modified hip joints, and you can see this one actually has some really nice range when you pivot it in and out, so I'm happy with that. deep cut single jointed knees here, those get you to about the 90-degree mark, which is always good, and there is a swivel at the top of the knee there as well. And then down here at the ankles, we have the Hasbro Classic, the forward facing pin for rocker, with a hinge which gets you not really any forward at all due to the sculpting of the lower leg. That's a little disappointing, and the ankle can go back a fair amount. So overall, it is basically the standard articulation for Black Series in 2025. I didn't expect this to be any different. I really am excited for this figure because I get to have now the representation of Dagan Gera with his force arm. We'll now set Dagan off to the side here and take a look at our commando droid. So this commando droid is very striking. I'm honestly happy that out of the 3 variations that there are of the commando droid in this video game, this one is the most striking because he has the most gold on him. So I have to say my only gripe with the looks of this figure is that I wish they would have just gone with gold paint all throughout the figure. I think the gold paint really pops, has a great metallic look to it. However, the hands and the lower legs are just sculpted in a much more dull looking gold plastic. And while I get it, it's action figures, you kind of want to lessen the paint hits where you can. It's also a little frustrating, just kind of breaks the figure up a little bit. Aside from that though, we do have that really nice gold paint there all over the head with a nice design. You have white for the photoreceptors, and you do have that nice bright red color for the, I guess I'll call them the ear caps, and there is some of that red that you see bleed onto the neck and the back of the head plate there. So that looks really nice. The base chassis of the droid is just a very dull gray plastic. Then of course here you have this little red indicator here painted in a bright red. A lot of those same gold and bright red details. I like how, again, how striking this figure is. You can see the peg hole in the back here for the vibro blade, some nice sculpted detail, as well as more of that gold paint detail. And then over here on the arms, we have more of that detail. And this is, again, where you see the sculpted gold hand versus the painted gold upper arm, and it's just, again, a little jarring, but it is what it is. At the midsection here, the thorax of the droid, we do have gold paint apps that go down the center of the midsection, and then at the thighs here, we have very nice gold and red paint apps once more, and then we go down from the lower legs to the feet. We don't really have any paint applications except for at the heels of the droid's feet here. It's just, again, that very, almost like Velveeta cheese looking macaroni and cheese gold color. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's just a preference. I would have preferred it look consistent throughout the figure. As far as articulation goes on the commando droid, it tends to be just as much of a mixed bag for me as I feel about the difference between the gold paint and the gold sculpt work here. So there's a lot of good from the waist up here, and there's a lot of stuff that I think could be better on the waist down from this droid. So he does have a ball joint at the top of the neck, and then a hinge with like another ball joint below the hinge at the bottom of the neck, and you can just get a crazy amount of range out of that neck here. So looking down, you can really reach that head forward and completely fold his head down. He can look straight down. Looking up, it's pretty much the same. You can make him look straight up, which is great. And this is a very acrobatic droid, both in-game and in like the Clone Wars show, the Battlefront 2 video game. Anywhere you see this droid, he's very acrobatic. So it's good. The more articulation, the better on this one. So obviously you can get some really nice tilt left and right here, and obviously you can make him look left and right as well. At the shoulders, we have very interesting articulation. So we have a ball joint, and then that ball joint in the torso is connected to this hinge and swivel on this separate ball on the shoulder here. So you can really treat this like a drop down shoulder in a way, as you can see as I'm moving it around here, and you can get that forward and back like you would a butterfly joint. And as far as the hinges go, you can get that up to about the 90-degree mark, maybe just a little shy of that. Depends on where you keep that little ball connection there. And as you can see, you can get it up to that 90-degree mark. And of course, I would hope that you can swivel it a full 360 degrees. There is a bicep swivel that's very cleverly hidden in that little system here in the shoulder that you can see. We do have single joints, and those get you to about 90 degrees forward. They do also hyperextend about 90 degrees backwards. So for a droid, that's cool. And then we do have a swivel at the top of the elbow and another swivel at the base of the forearm here. So as you can see, we have a ton of articulation crammed into this guy, which is great again for such an acrobatic droid. At the wrists, we also have another hinge and swivel. So as you can see, the wrist does swivel here, and there is a horizontal hinge on the right hand, and you're going to get another horizontal hinge on the left hand too. And then we go back to absolute crazy articulation on the midsection. So there's a ball joint up at the base of the torso plating here, and then this top vertebrae, I'll call them vertebrae, does have its own little ball joint, and then the second to last vertebrae has its own ball joint. So you can really get all kinds of range out of this droid's midsection. You can get some good crunch, some good back, and some good twist back and forth. It's a really ingenious system. And then we get to the hips, and so I'm not a huge fan of specifically the hips on this droid here. I wish they would have carved out a little bit more of the insides of that thigh plating there, because I feel like that's where this one falls short for me. So there is a ball joint that goes through the thighs of the droid here, and you can see you can get some decent range out of it. You can get out pretty far. You can do the splits about 45 degrees in either direction. You can obviously bring them forward and back a lot, but they don't offer a lot of pivot, and that's again just very frustrating because it's the limitations of the articulation, not so much even the design of this character. You do also have single jointed knees, and what's again frustrating about this figure is these knees don't even bend 90 degrees back, and they do hyperextend about maybe 30 degrees forward. So what I've found works, and you can see this in my other Commando droid review, be very careful with the pins that go into the thighs here, because these can be prone to breaking. If you twist the knee out or in when you're articulating the figure, you can get so much more range out of that knee there, and you can bring it much closer to that 90-degree mark, and in some cases you can even bring it past it. Just be careful, because this is a very thin pin that goes into the thigh, and that can cause some breakage. I've heard and seen some people that have broken their figures trying to do the same thing as me. And then of course down here at the ankles, you have again that forward facing pin for rocker, as well as a hinge which has plenty of forward and plenty of back as well. So while the hips are a little lackluster and the knees definitely are lackluster in articulation, I think this guy definitely, from especially the waist up, like I said, has some fantastic articulation. Alright, we'll get these guys posed up with their accessories here. We'll start with Dagan Gera. Lightsaber blades back in the hilt here. This is it with it connected. Looks awesome. A very nice look here. Again, very striking. The lightsaber does fit very nicely into the left hand here. That's to be expected though, because this is the hand that existed with the original figure. And as for our Commando droid here, you'll see you do have some weapon storage with that vibro blade on the back. However, in game, this guy usually holds the blaster in one hand and the sword in the other, so that's going to be how we pose this guy to keep it true to the game. If you look at the droid in game, you'll see that he holds the vibro sword in the right hand, and that fits very nicely in the hand there. Definitely going to pass that shake test. And then he holds the blaster in the left hand, and that's also a good grip on the blaster. That's also going to pass the shake test. Here's some good basic poses for both of these figures here. You can see I've got the Commando droid in a nice ready stance, like he's about to engage Cal Kestis in a battle, and then Dagan Gera, I imagine he's doing that weird thing he does in one of the boss fights where he's like stalking you from a distance before he jumps in with some unblockable attacks. And here I've got the two of these figures in some really nice deep action poses here, a little bit more mid-stride. I tried to take animation from the game and exemplify it in these figure poses here. And here we have some nice one-legged mid-stride poses here. Again, these guys are getting ready to deliver some unblockable blows, and these guys have a great center of gravity, just some great modern Black Series figures here. Just for some quick comparisons, here's how these guys scale up next to the Jedi Survivor Cal Kestis, BD-1, a Bogling, and the Battle Droid from the Bedlam Raiders faction. But with that, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this 2-pack review here. I really like having both versions of Dagan Gera, being the one-armed version and this version, as they are technically from two different boss fights when you fight him in the game. So for me, it's two different versions of the same character I can have on shelf, dueling Cal Kestis, and this Commando droid is a very welcome inclusion. I've been really liking seeing just how fleshed out the Bedlam Raiders faction has gotten in the Black Series, and with how few there are left, I would love to see them round out the rest of the droids in the faction. But with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do here on YouTube, or you want to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. You get exclusive badges and priority replies in my comment section, as well as early access to my reviews and the ability to vote on what I review next for the channel. This review was voted on by both my channel members and the ARC Troopers in the Patreon as one of the next ones for me to do on the channel. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, you could head over to the Blitz Transmissions Armory over on Printify. Link to that is in the description below, as well as links to my Discord and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 4-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our